Hello folks, Autocar have just had their 2022 Car Awards. I thought I'd just go through the results of those and give you my thoughts. This is the first time I've looked at this, so I want you to get my genuine reaction basically. So the 5-star car they've given to the BMW M5 C5. Being the ultimate M5, the positioning of the M5 C5 gave BMW permission to skew the time-honoured Super Saloon template towards the expensive and outlandish. It comes with a 626 brake horsepower turbocharged V8 engine that revs beyond 7,000 RPM. It's also nearly 40 grand more than the standard M5. Wow. This is one of those that's kind of an instant classic. People are going to be fighting over getting their hands on them despite the crazy price. You have to think as well, you know, how many more of these things are we going to see in the real world? Big V8, huge monster saloons. Great that they're still doing it, and that one certainly seems to be hitting the mark. So best fun car's the Toyota GR86. It's the latest little sports coupe from Toyota. Known to be massive fun. It's going to be 30 grand near as damn it when it comes out in the UK. Hopefully I'll be able to get one for test when it does. When you think about it, it's 5 grand less than the cheapest Audi TT. And I'm sure you'll get an equal number of grins in one of those things, so that's probably a good shout. 2.4 litre engine, 232 horsepower, and 20% more torque than the old one, which gives it a bit more ability at low revs. Best large cars, Hyundai Santa Fe. They are phenomenally good cars, they really are. The downside is if you want to go for the plug-in hybrid, it's getting on for 50 grand, which is a lot of money. If you have the car in 5-seat mode, you've got 571 litres of boot space. Really nicely made car, drives well, everything feels good. Acres of space inside for your passengers. Best hybrid, Mercedes C300E. Price from just over 46 grand. The Mercedes is just over 25 kilowatt hour, giving it a WLTP lab test electric range of up to 62 miles. And they've gone for the tablet style infotainment display. I didn't know they'd done that actually. I'm a bit out of touch with the latest Mercedes cars. Hopefully I'll get to spend some time with one at some stage. So this one's got 60 miles of electric range, which is really good. But real world they're saying it's 50, which is really quite decent for a plug-in hybrid. When you think about it, that gives you the flexibility of probably doing a daily commute just on battery power. So you're saving quite a bit on petrol. And then when you do want to do those longer trips, obviously, you know, you can fill it up with petrol and off you go. I guess they're going to make a lot of sense to a lot of people, especially company car drivers who are obviously going to save massively on benefit in kind tax over just a petrol or diesel equivalent. Best small cars, Fiat 500. They're actually talking about the electric one here by the looks of things. 199 miles of range, although the real world range is more like 140. Oh, that's a massive hit, isn't it? But they are supposed to be brilliant, and everyone says that that platform's just ideal for an EV. So there we go, enough said. Best electric car, the Kia EV6. So it was probably quite likely to go between the EV6 and the Hyundai Ioniq 5. Of course, next year we'll also have the Genesis GV60 coming into play, and I desperately want to get my hands on one of those. Obviously, all three of those cars are essentially the same car on the same platform, but they just have their own different design quirks and a few subtle tweaks here and there. They say here that they picked the EV6 over the Ioniq 5 because the EV6 has got better driving dynamics. I have driven the Ioniq 5 and I have to say that I think it's blooming brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So if the EV6 is better to drive than the Ioniq 5, then that can only be a good thing, but I just struggle to see how that can be. And you've got up to 328 miles of range. Best driver's car, Porsche 911 GT3. No surprise there whatsoever. Absolute driving machine, monster. That naturally aspirated flat six doing its job splendidly well. Engine revs up to 9,000 RPM, and they're saying with the new suspension system and geometry, it's hard to believe that the engine sits in the back of that thing because it handles phenomenally well. Best all-rounder, the Cupra Formentor. This is an interesting one. Formentor is an SUV crossover in the mould of the VW T-Roc and Toyota CHR, which come with butch looks, relatively generous interior space, and a slightly raised ride height. However, it equally appeals to SUV skeptics. Look closely, and the Formentor is more of a tall estate than an SUV. Step up inside and you can drop the seat all the way to the floor for maximum touring car vibes. They are good looking cars, the Formentors, I must admit, very good looking cars. Borrows its 306 brake horsepower petrol engine and four-wheel drive system from the previous generation Golf R, and it's as competent on school run as it is on a moorland road. You can also get that with a 1.5 petrol engine, which is perfectly good, but obviously this is the beast version they're talking about. Best affordable driver's car, Hyundai i20N. Absolutely stunning cars. Any of the Hyundai N range, you just have to go and drive one. You must do it. They're just such a laugh. The i20N's 201 brake horsepower in what is really quite a small car. The last sentence here really sums up all the N cars that I've driven. All in, it's a likeably raw yet usable device. That's it in a nutshell. Feels very, very raw, but you could use it as your daily driver. Best SUV, Land Rover Defender. Not a huge surprise with that. Your new Defender's massively popular. Let's hope they're more reliable than some of their other Jaguar Land Rover cousins. Best dream car, the Chevrolet Corvette Stingray. All right, this is a surprise. This latest Corvette is supposed to be absolutely brilliant. It's supposed to be one of the best ones ever, but they sometimes get sneered at slightly by some of the motoring journalists. They've made so many changes with this new one to improve the handling, which I think is probably why I think the handling's always slightly let the Corvettes down a bit. I've heard a couple of people talking about these and comparing them to some of the absolute classic Ferraris. And by all accounts, it really is quite a special car. Under 80 grand for one of those as well. I mean, it looks every bit the supercar, doesn't it? Best family car, Skoda Enyaq iV. Not surprised with that one. Brilliant roomy car. Ticks a lot of boxes if you want the big family SUV. So best company car's gone to the Tesla Model 3 long range. It's certainly the most popular company car, I would say, as you see a ton of them nowadays out on the road. 360 miles of range is claimed, but in the real world that's going to be closer to 300. And you've got the benefit of the Tesla supercharger network, which is brilliant and very, very reliable. Although, of course, Tesla are now opening that up to other brands. So one of their unique selling points has just gone, really, or certainly the shine's gone off it slightly. I think Polestar 2 is another really good shout for best company car. And of course the aforementioned Kia EV6, Hyundai Ioniq 5, all make good company cars. But no surprise to see the Tesla Model 3 long range still at the top. I did review one of those actually, and there's a link to it up there if you want to check that out. Manufacturer of the Year, BMW. They came out with the M5 CS, the iX, the 2 Series Coupe, 240i. It has been a really strong year for BMW. But some of their styling choices haven't gone down well with everyone, have they? And then BMW are also returning to Le Mans with this new crazy hypercar next year. And then the 𝘼𝙁𝙁𝙄𝙇𝙄𝙼𝙆. 𝘼𝙁𝙁𝙁𝙄𝙇𝙄𝙼, by the way, is a guy that designed the Mini, Alec 𝘼𝙁𝙁𝙁𝙁. And that goes to Mate Rimac. You're probably aware of Rimac sports cars. They're absolutely bonkers. If you haven't seen any interviews with Mate Rimac, check them out. Johnny Smith did a brilliant one with him, so I suggest you have a look for that on YouTube. He's only 34, so think of a young Elon Musk type character, but much more kind of in-your-face, enthusiastic, really, really engaging, interesting bloke in the interviews I've seen. And I mean, some of the cars he's producing and his work rate is bananas. So not only do Rimac produce their own cars, but they're also supplying the likes of Hyundai, Porsche, Ferrari for hardware, software, all sorts of stuff. And he's also done a deal with VW to basically take over the Bugatti brand. Bananas, 34 years old, this guy. And then you've got a few sort of more corporate awards in there. Lifetime Achievement Award for Peter Schreier from Hyundai Motor Group. That guy's designed some amazing cars over the years. Dave Richards, CEO of ProDrive. Alison Jones, MD of Stellantis UK. Monday Award for Engineering, Gordon Murray. I mean, Gordon Murray's the man behind so many, amazing sort of classic cars. Most famously, the McLaren F1, and they've got Gordon Murray Motors. Sang-Yup Lee from Hyundai Motor Group. There's a design hero. And then the Innovation Award they give to Caffeine and Machine. It's a very, very cool restaurant, B&B, bar, cafe. They have loads of car events there, basically a great sort of car meeting spot. I think you can hire it out for events and things. tons and tons of great social media from Caffeine and Machine. Put a link to this feature on Autocar in the video description, so if you want to go and check that out, please do. And obviously do go and check out Autocar. It's not a sponsored video, but I'm talking about their content, so I feel like they deserve a good shout out here. And please follow me on social media. Everything's popping up for that now. Thanks ever so much for watching, guys. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.